Greetings, traveler. Come warm yourself by the fire and let us regale you with mighty tales, tales of adventure, tales of heroism, tales of Tamriel. I am your host, Aggelos, and we are back for a gameplay episode this week. And I am joined by two of the most amazing people in the world. And, well, you know, they're not here. No, I'm just kidding. No, Arkhaniir Silvershield. How are you, buddy?
Hello, I'm doing great, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm glad you could join me today, you know, in Nern. No?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm not joining you.
Oh, well, you're mean.
I'm not even in the game.
Never mind. I don't like you anymore. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
Mark, you're the best. You're the best. I'm just kidding. Don't take it that way. You're the best. You are my Nord brother. So, that voice you heard because she thought we were still not talking, but she, you know, opened her mic anyway.
I couldn't hear the song and I was confused.
How you doing, Bloody-Eye?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Good. How was last episode? Did you enjoy it? Were you angry you couldn't be on?
I was. How dare you move it to my Monday when I'm at work?
Well, you know, there's the problem. You just need to look at it and go, work or Tales of Tamriel? Clearly, you know which one you should have chosen, and you didn't. So, chat room, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for showing up. I see there's quite a few of you there already, so that is awesome. And I definitely want to give a shout out to the intro music, the guy who did the intro music, the amazingly talented family Jules. If you want to hear that cover, which is the Elder Scrolls medley, or any of his other amazing video game covers, he did a couple on The Legend of Zelda, as well as, what was the other one I was just listening to the other day? It's going to drive me nuts. But anyway, it's amazing. Go check him out on youtube.com/familyjules7x. But before we do any news as well, or any of our gameplay, I should say, we also have to give shout outs to our amazing supporters over at patreon.com/dungeoncrawlernetwork. We've got a couple new patron supporters. Happy Hansel was one, and Audrey Bits. Thank you so much for going out there and supporting us over there. You're allowing us to continue doing what we're doing, upgrading the stuff that, you know, we have, and increasing the quality production values and all those things, and trying to make a better show that's more enjoyable for you. And of course, anyone who supports us over there at patreon.com/dungeoncrawlernetwork is entered into our monthly drawings, as well as getting podcast episodes early. So for as little as $1 a month, you can help us and also maybe get some cool stuff. We also had a new Twitch subscriber, which is awesome. Meow's Bark. I love Meow's Bark. He's awesome. I just like the name Meow's Bark. He's a frequent emailer. In fact, we actually have an email from him today. I guess I should say him, her. I'm not really sure. I'm just going to use the pronoun him for now. But I got an email today hoping that it would get on before the show, because he has more lore questions, and he knows I love talking about lore. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk about lore. But before we do that, we got to talk about what we've been doing in game. And Arkhaniir was lazy. I know he played on the PTS a little bit, right?
I was busy, not lazy.
Okay, all right. The word was there, but I was sticking with one. All right. So you were busy, so you didn't get a whole lot of gameplay in, right?
Yep.
Okay. And now I know I didn't get as much as last week because I also was busy, but I did get a good bit, and I'm going to talk about that. But first, we should let our... Do we call her a guest host now? Because she doesn't realize the amount of time she's going to get roped into this now that she said she could. So we'll stick with guest host. Yeah. We'll try not to scare her away, you know, right away. But Bloody-Eye, what have you been doing?
I have been doing some stuff.
Boob window dyeing?
I've been boob window dyeing. I bought the new dress. Dye's a bit better than the pants, but still not bright enough. But I'm over my rants for that. I got my librarian title from finishing that quest in Morrowind.
Okay, I actually saw that title, like, librarian. Yeah. How did she get that? I actually thought it was, for some reason, I thought it was a housing title, like if you bought enough books and placed them in your house.
No, it's the big quest line. You have to find 30 tombs in Vardenfell and do this quest.
Well, so that's cool. What those tombs does. I've been collecting them, but I didn't know how to, like, use them or anything.
Near Vivec's tower or pyramid or whatever it's called, There's the librarian room, and you go in there and start the quest.
Oh, okay.
You have to find 30 of them, and they're really hard to find. Really hard.
Well,
but yeah, no, it's worth it.
They're really hard to find if you don't probably use an add-on that tells you exactly where they
and
are.
I did it old school. I had to Google the last 3 because I couldn't find them.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Destinations probably has it, but if you use
Not yet. I
no
don't think.
cheating.
Oh, they don't have it yet, really?
Not yet.
Oh.
Not that I've seen. The second thing was I finally finished the I Like Mike achievement. Found my final one. So good. Done that.
I still need to do that.
Yeah. And I've started on my main character trying to finish gold content because I sort of stopped. So I was so I started off down there speaking to Queen Flathead.
Queen Flat.
Her head is so flat it drives me crazy. Anyway, Queen Flathead, so I'm starting the quests with her. And the other thing was last night in the guild for this podcast, we did Trials Night and we started to try and do Halls of Fabrication.
Oh,
so we got
really?
through the first 2 bosses and it was amazing. It was so much fun.
Wow.
Loved it.
Now I'm jealous.
Yeah, it was
Because
good.
I was awake, but I checked the Discord and I saw 12 people in it. Okay, let's continue playing this other game. But yeah.
Hey, that's the problem. You didn't show up, and it could have been Halls of Fabrication.
Yeah, it was good. It was really good. Loved it.
No wonder you guys didn't complete it though. I wasn't there.
Oh,
That's right.
well, if you'd play on North America more, I'm just saying.
Correct.
I don't even play on European that much anymore. I'm not playing ESO at all.
Fair enough. I mean, man, that's a complete opposite change. Normally it was me, and now I've been playing it like crazy. I mean, other than this week where, I've been doing a lot of show stuff for the network that I wasn't able to, but I still actually played more than you did in terms of like I have several things. I probably put in a good, I don't know, 8 hours worth of gameplay, which might not seem like a lot to some, but to some, yeah, I definitely agree. It's probably not a whole lot, but it's still more than I was putting in because I finally got done with Thieves Guild, and then I felt rejuvenated to go through content.
Yay.
Yeah. All right. Keep going. We're just giving commentary as you go.
Yeah, no, that's probably the main things I've done.
Okay. All right.
I'm bringing friends, by the way.
Aw, why are you bringing friends?
I'm bringing friends. Have a watch.
Ring of Mother's
Welcome.
Sorrow. I'm gonna lock it
Oh, I
because
didn't
I
bring
don't
many.
have. You only brought one.
I had heaps following me, but they left.
There's one. I guess they turned around. I see. Yeah, no. While I was doing this, I wanted to do something somewhat mindless, and I didn't really want to level another character, even though I really should. But I like doing stuff on my main, so obviously I'm like, you know what I haven't done in a few days? The dailies for, the Undaunted, and not the dungeon dailies, but, the Delve and the World Boss, and because I was going to start collecting sets, because now I'm in a collection mood right now, since ESO doesn't allow you to have a lot of cosmetic collection, because everything is, cash shop. But then I'm like, wait a minute, they added new bank slots, so I have like 480 bank slots now, I think it is. And I'm like, well, maybe I should start collecting all the weapon and armor sets in the game just so that I have them in case I ever want to play with sets, So I started
I have a question,
doing that. Okay.
Were you ever in not collection mode?
For armor sets, I never really cared, I guess is the thing, because I would get the set that I was actively running, and then I would just say screw all the others. My bank was mostly full of I take that back. I did automatically collect any kind of monster helm. So if I got a monster helm, I kept one of every weight, and now I'm keeping
Yeah, I have that too.
2 of every weight. The idea is I'm farming anything that is either impen or divines. I'm keeping. Everything else is trash. Weapons, I'm just collecting precise and sharpened stuff for right now. But I guess I should probably also be doing infused or power. I think it's infused. I don't remember. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing right now, is just playing with those. So, have you been doing anything else? Have you done anything with the guild lately?
Just pledges and that trial night.
Oh, okay. Pledges. What pledges were you doing?
Oh, gee, what were they? I've been doing them every day. So I want keys for the new monster sets.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
So they kind of blur into each other because I do them on multiple characters.
Right.
White Gold Tower is always a favourite. Yeah, all the usuals.
Oh, I love
remember.
White Gold Tower. It's
How
like
do you
my
have the
favorite.
patience for doing all the pleasures every day on multiple characters? I don't understand that.
You do it on multiple characters? I don't even know why.
I do it on 2. I do it on Blood-Eye, my DPS, and my hit.
Okay.
That's still too much.
Not every day, but
Oh, no.
died.
I did, but that's okay. It's a world boss. Kill him.
Oh, I died too.
You didn't kill him.
Oh, wow, Ag. You are such a noob. I'm looking at the stream and...
Yeah. Oh, just be quiet. Just be quiet. I hear you. So yeah. So anything else that you want to talk
No,
about?
that's all for me.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then I have to bring up my list of stuff. There we go. All right. Just bring this over here real quick. All right. So what have I been doing in game? So obviously, one of the things I've been working on has been the Rothgar, because Rothgar's awesome, right? Like I've been having a lot of fun with Rothgar. Been doing tons of Rothgar stuff, and I was helping King Kurog at the Frostbeak Fortress, which is like the second quest after you get there. It's kind of neat because two of my favorite scenes happened. The second one, I guess, is after you do that part, but remember when we saw the trailer for it, and they they had the harpy sweep out of the air and kill the guy, like pull him up. That actually happens during one of the quests, like the very first quest you're doing. And I got to meet my second love, which is a wood elf. I like the wood elves; they're cute, you know. She's no Little Leaf from Craglorn, but she's still pretty cool regardless. What is her name? Elvie, the archer,
something like that. Yep.
Yeah, she's funny. I like her, and I actually like the one alchemist I ran into because he was pretty funny. Because he's like in a cage, like on fire, and he's like, so you know, are you gonna get me out before I burn to death, or what are we doing here? So I kind of liked him. He was a lot of fun. I just got a Mother's Sorrow in Divines. Ooh, a helm. Gonna lock that.
Nice.
The RNG.
I actually just got another thing, Plague Doctor belt in Divines too, while I was in the dungeon.
Oh, it's a helm. It's useless.
Oh, well, it depends. You might not be using a monster set though.
Yep.
Not everyone uses the monster sets, especially if you're now that dual wield isn't necessarily king anymore because of all these resource issues. Even like Magicka people are doing like the staves now, so it's a two-handed. So there's a lot of people going 5/5 and then a master or a maelstrom. So there's no room for monster helms. Like even my set right now is 5/5 and then 1 for the master, the master weapon. And you're only getting that for the extra weapon damage. So like I'm not even using monster helms in this build right now that I've been working on. So
Okay, fine. It's useful.
it
You
is
got the good item again.
you got the I don't know. Does it sell for anything? I don't know. It may not. Yeah, it's not picking
Mother
up.
Sorrow
So.
usually sell for good.
Mothers, yeah, but maybe not the helms, because again, not everyone is using those things. It's hit or miss at this point. I should actually look and see what else. Madness and East March. Okay, Halls of the Dead. Yeah, I'm doing, for anyone who's wondering, in game I'm doing the dailies as well. So I'm jumping around, and now I got to go clear the undead in East March in the Halls of the Dead. Yes.
Thank you.
So, but while I was in Frostbeak Fortress, obviously when you're in there, you're dealing with Reachmen, right? And you got to see the Briarhearts in action. Like, I don't know if anyone's played, well, I shouldn't say, I don't know if anyone, millions of people have played Skyrim, but have you ever, like, looked closely at the Briarhearts in Skyrim, how creepy they are with, like, the open chest wounds and then the Briarheart inside? Getting to see the tree is insane because it's gross. It's like growing out of dead bodies. Like, because that's what they do. They grow it out of dead bodies. And I just shared those 2 quests with you, by the way.
Thank you. Got them.
So it's funny because you see this like this giant tree with like dead corpses still like part of its bark. It's insanely creepy and I love it. So yeah, and you got to see little sproutlings, which are like these little briar trees that then are, you know, growing out of these corpses and this pile of like of flesh and bones. It's insanely gross. And again, I love it. So apparently I did find the true lusty Argonian maid in game.
Did you?
Yes. She is in Hrothgar, and it starts from a quest called Birdsong's Corpse. I actually have to pull up my map once I'm done here with the loading screen. It's an item you pick up in a dungeon. Let me just look here real quick at Hrothgar. The dungeon, or it's a delve, and I think the delve is... It's not the Argent Mine. Over here. Cold Perch Cavern, I think it is. So it's
Oh, yes.
So you find an item in there, and this item is, you know, it's this idol that apparently curses people into these harpies, right? So you go and you find an Argonian, and she's like, I can help you. You know, I can help you with this. I can help cure this curse, right? And she's in the Mages Guild. Her name is Dachino, Deechee-Noo. Anyway, so she's like, all right, so I can cure this, but I need a few reagents. I need you to go to collect like a frozen egg of some kind. I need you to go collect an ancient bone, and I need you to go collect like one other item. So you go to these different people, and they're all within Hrothgar, just in the city itself, and you talk to them, and they're like, yeah, you know, they're merchants, right? They're like, yeah, maybe I could sell this, but I mean, come on, it's super rare. It could be worth a lot of money. But of course I have the persuade option, right? So with the persuade option, I'm sitting there going, well, you know, you're right. I could pay you, or I could just go back and tell this Argonian that you were not helpful to me. And every one of their responses were amazing because they're like, oh, you didn't tell me you were doing this for the lovely Doichino. Like, oh, I remember the last time I was there together, we spent such an amazing time. And well, there were some other suggestive hints, you know, like, oh, her back rubs are just divine. Yeah, just things like this. And it's hilarious to listen to them talk because they're just like, oh, no, don't tell her that, and tell her I'm eagerly awaiting our next encounter. It's just like, oh, what is going on here? It is definitely worth the quest if you haven't, because she's amazing. Yeah, so she is the real lusty Argonian maid, because everyone's like, oh, you didn't tell me you were here with the fetching, you know, whatever her name was, and oh, I hope we can get together again soon. It's funny. I liked it. No responses from you guys. I see how it is. All right, must be quiet. I don't know. There we go. Yeah.
You were dropped again.
No, it just was muted on that side. But yeah, so I missed any conversation you guys were having about that. But the lusty Argonian maid, you guys have anything you want to say about her? Because she's awesome.
I was just laughing.
Oh, okay. All right.
I was trying to
also
remember I remember the quest.
What's wrong?
Sorry. I remembered the quest, but I don't remember that bit. So
yeah, you must have skipped through it because, yeah, every person's just like, oh, you didn't tell me you were working for her. Oh, I cannot wait for our next encounter. It was so amazing. You know, like under their breath, it's like, oh, like what exactly happened? And apparently she gets around quite a bit, but it was insanely funny, and definitely I encourage people to go and take a look at that because it's great. It's absolutely great. Oh,
Cool.
we made it all the way around to this guy again. Oh, he's a drunk guy. Yeah, so I really enjoyed that. Let's see here. So after you do all the stuff inside of Frostbeak, you go back to the Scarp Keep and you get to talk. And it's probably one of the coolest scenes that I've seen in game so far, because I've actually not, the animations for this was pretty cool. Because it's the scene where Kurog's in there and he's talking with the other chieftains, and he's like, so you guys gonna finally accept me as king? And they're like, no, you're worthless. So he goes up to the one guy and just like impales him on his sword and like holds him up in the air. Like, do you guys remember that scene? No?
Yeah, I do.
And but there's like blood and stuff pouring out as he's impaling the guy, and I'm sitting there going, oh, like. Because normally, like, all the other death scenes in the game were those, you walk up, you see him do a stab animation, they fall over dead, right? Like,
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, okay. This was, like, the guy's literally impaled on top, and the guy's holding him up in the air, impaled on the sword. I'm like, oh, this escalated. It was pretty amazing, actually. Albeit, I do have some issues, I guess, which, I mean, obviously I'm sure we'll find out with the story, but the idea of Trinimac, like, they're worshiping Trinimac, and I'm like, my lore senses go, and I mean, obviously it fits within lore, but because I know, which is in, RP terms, I'm like God moding here, because I know, like, the story already of Trinimac.
Yeah.
But in my head, I'm like going, okay, there's some issues that you guys are gonna find some problems here, just so you know, because your Trinimac's literally a giant pile of poo, named Malakath, but yeah. So I've been doing that quest, and that's kind of where I left off in the quest line. I also found, and I think I ran into my old friends Raynor and Kirith Valos.
Oh, I love them.
Yeah, the dwarven ruin hunters. They were.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah, you find them all over the place, pretty much everywhere, and I got to find them again. But I picked their quest up, but I was at work at the time, so like on my lunch break, and I was on my laptop. My laptop kind of sucks, so I'm like, I don't really want to go into one of these ruins, and it looked like terrible. So I'll just grab the quest and I'll pick it up later. So I haven't done that yet, so I still have to do that. But that's okay. I'll pick that up. But then I also got to do a couple things with what else do I have on here? I've been running with Bloody-Eye and also Mr. Pink, doing dungeons, the Black Heart Haven, to try to get my
That's right.
my Bone Pirate. Which I got a couple pieces from them, which is awesome. And I also got a Bone Pirate Divine's boots from a random pug that I did on Monday.
Nice.
So I'm getting closer and closer with all my set bonuses, right? Like, I almost have enough. So when I also got a Maul of Stendar. Sharpened
Gloves.
Maul of Stendar. Ooh, gonna lock that. I'm gonna keep that. Like I said, I'm in collection mode now, so anytime I see something that's actually, worth somewhat of keeping, any kind of sets, I lock them now, and then I keep them.
I just got reinforced gloves if you want them.
Nope, they're trash. I'm only keeping divines and in-pen stuff for armor. That's all I'm keeping for right now. Nope. Almost everything's, if I have to, I'll farm it, because divines is generally still the best. Tank sets are pretty much the only change to that, because sometimes you have to roll with reinforced if you're going 5-1-1 for whatever reason. You get reinforced, or I guess sturdy is also a big thing that tanks would get for shield tanks anyway. But yeah, so let's see, what else did I do? I got to run Veteran Sanctum Ophidia with Nerdman and his wife, and also Amanda Gray. She came along, to which she died a lot. and I complained, and so she sent me a whole stack of soul gems so that, anytime she dies, I can go heal. No, I just was giving her a hard time, but she still sent me an entire stack of soul gems. But yeah, and I also Stormlords was there, and it was really cool because I got a Divine's Twice Bitten Serpent belt, and then I also got a gold ring of Twice Bitten. So I actually have 2 rings now, and I also have I just got dragon heavy armor sturdy, gauntlets of the dragon sturdy.
You probably sucked everyone else's RNG during that. I know Amanda didn't get it.
No, she didn't get anything. She was pissed. And I got 2 pieces, both, a gold ring. So all I'm missing now is I'm missing 1 armor piece and 1 the necklace, and then I'm set, like, with gear for Twice Bitten Serpent, cool. which is cool. Yeah. So I got to go back and do that again at some point. At least a couple times. But yeah, the belt apparently is really good, and I actually had people in the dungeon telling me, like, hey, I'll buy that off of you. And I'm like, nope, I'm wearing it. Yeah, because one guy was like, I'll give you a ring and I'll give you 40k, and I'm like, well, I already have the other ring, I don't need a third one. And then it got to, okay, I'll give you 100k. I'm like, nope, I don't need money. I'm good, thanks. But, it was what it was. But, yeah.
You should have asked for a couple million, so... if you gave it, you could... Yeah, you could have decorated the house. The castle, even. Or the new upcoming, the whatever house.
The Falkreath house.
Yes, the Falkreath. Well, we don't know if it's 3 million yet. Because you can't get into it on the PTS, can you?
Yeah. Nope.
No, they lock that, so you don't really know. And based on the size of it, like, just based on, like, what I showed Ark in the last stream, I think it was, where I was like, yeah, if you go to, the Mages Guild in Riften, that's the style that they showed us. With the courtyard, the courtyard, I guess, is fairly big, but that might only be a large house. So if it's a large and not a manor, then it's going to be 1 million, not 3.
Yeah. I still can't afford it, though.
I
could if I were able to combine my gold on both servers. They don't let me do that.
Well, you know what else they don't let you do? The thing that says that any kind of thing that you buy is going to be on both servers.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention that.
Yeah.
I should do that.
Because I took a picture.
False advertisement.
Yeah, false advertisement. Because I took a picture of this while I was at work, and I sent it to Art because he was complaining that, he's like, man, I don't have any of the Crown Store price stuff on EU, right? That he bought before, like costumes and stuff. But there was a loading screen that says that Crown purchases are account wide. And I'm like, well, you don't have a second account for EU. You just, you only have one. But it's not true. So I sent that to him. I said, you should email Zos. That's false advertising right there.
I'm quoting, once obtained, collectibles such as mounts, costumes, and non-combat pets are unlocked for your entire account. Which does not.
It does not.
Unlocks for that server.
Yep.
Not the account.
Yep.
I demand justice.
I demand justice. Yeah. So that was pretty much all I did in game this week. Which, I mean, it seemed like a good bit, but like questing wise, I didn't do a lot. But yeah, I definitely ran. I guess on Tuesday night, we ran that dungeon, and it was definitely, I lucked out 2 pieces. So I just need 1 more Divine's piece of Twice Bitten Stake for armor, and then I need to continue and a necklace for Twice Fanged Serpent. But then all I need to do is farm the rest of the Bone Pirate. But Bone Pirate's easier to farm than the other one is, right? Because that's, Twice Fang, because that's just a dungeon. I can chain run that on normal like we were doing, so that's not a problem to do. It's just, I'll mess with that when I get to that point. But I'm also kind of waiting Because I guess, how do I want to say this? It's a matter of I need Divine's pieces, but since Twice Fanged Serpent's so hard to get, I don't care what Divine armor pieces, I'll farm the other stuff from, it's like, I already had a Divine's belt for Bone Guardian, but I got a Divine's belt and Twice Fanged Snake. I'm like, nope, I'm keeping the Twice Fanged Snake. I can farm the Bone Pirate anytime,
exactly.
like, so, and Setsua, hey, Setsua, I see he joined chat, so, welcome.
Oh, hello.
So yeah, that was a fun thing to do. Yeah, so hopefully I'll get with Nerdman again, and we can get a vet group together so we can get that gold jewelry, because all I need yet's the necklace. So I'll just have to keep bugging him. And I had fun playing with Amanda Gray because I got the Reser all the time. No, I'm just kidding. I died a good bit too. But it just seemed like every time she died, I was the one who's like, oh, I can res her. So I was always resing her, so I was giving her a hard time about it. So I'm sure she'll leave a nasty comment on the video here or something for this. So love you, Amanda Gray. Just saying. All right. So we're going to go ahead and move right on into the news. So Ark, guess what? You're at news desk, buddy.
All right. So we have just one piece of news, and that is that the patch 3.1.0, also known as Horns of the Range DLC, also known as Update 15, hit the PTS last week. Now, this is a very long collection of patch notes, so I'm going to skip most of it.
Yeah.
Basically, we can enter the dungeons, but not the house, so that's one thing that at least we care about.
Yeah.
As far as I know.
I mean, I downloaded the PTS specifically to go, hey, I'm going to go ahead and just jump in there and do a dungeon, then mess with the house. And they're like, oh, but we're not going to let you into the house. I'm like, well, screw it, Zoss. I'm not doing your dungeons. Yeah. And that was literally the main reason why I patched it. I just wanted.
Yeah.
That's the reason we haven't done the dungeon, because you just bailed out when you find out that.
Well, clearly, that was the only reason why I wanted to go. Freaking dungeons.
Right, so we have 8 new item sets, 4 for one of the dungeons and 4 for the other one. Light, medium, heavy, and the monster set. I'm not going to go into details, except this Iron Blood set, because I think I'll use it. It gives max health, physical resistance, spell resistance, and when you take damage, you have an 8% chance to gain major protection, reducing the damage taken by 30%, but reducing your movement speed by 75%.
Now, do you think that's a separate buff, so you could stack it with like major, minor wards? You know what I mean? Like minor or major ward and major whatever the spell one is. Those are just flat resistances, but since that one gives you a snare, do you think it counts as a different buff and they stack?
I don't know. It doesn't say major, minor ward here, just straight up physical spell resistance, so I guess they will stack.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, because it has a different, like if you already do abilities that give you major and major ward and major whatever the spell one is, again, you know what I'm talking about. They give you that percentage or whatever, but this is a different buff. So you think it count almost like Armor Master, because I think Armor Master stacks with major ward. Like, because you could have major ward up and then proc Armor Master, which gives you a flat percentage resistance.
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah.
Okay. All
Well,
right.
the reason I think it will align is that I'm trying to do a perma block, don't move at all build. So that 75% movement speed reduction is not an issue. So I think I'll use this one.
You kind of remind me of this one tank that we had in World of Warcraft who was tanking our raids, and he was a really bad player. And he was like, I became a tank so I didn't have to move. He immediately got kicked from our raid for that stupid statement. He's like, that's why I became a tank, so I didn't actually have to move anywhere. I'm like, what? So,
well, it's not about not having to move, but like not needing it, Just take all the damage like a champ.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm excited about the new monster healing set.
Oh?
The Earthgore one.
Yeah, Earthgore. The second piece, when you heal a friendly target that is under 50% health, you conjure a pool of quenching blood, which will look visually pretty cool, which soaks up enemy-placed effects instantly and heals all friendly targets in the area for 30,000 health over 3 seconds.
Oh.
That is
Yeah.
actually...
Oh.
This effect can occur once every 35 seconds. So
Okay, so 35 seconds. All right. I'm sitting there going, that's a little overpowered, but 35 seconds, that's a fairly long cooldown. All right.
Yeah, so it'd be good for trials. So
Yeah.
I want that set.
Yeah.
And try that one out.
Well, I mean, that's if it puts it directly under the person who you healed, if they were under 50%, they were already kind of in trouble. So that's just even a bigger boost going forward. So yeah, that makes sense.
And as a healer, it's a free heal. It doesn't use any of your
yeah.
resources.
Yep.
So hooray.
Well, you can't really complain about that too much.
No. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah. Is there a DPS? I'm sure there is, but what is the DPS set?
From the Falkreath Hold dungeon, it drops a Pillar of Nirn. Maximum stamina, weapon critical, weapon damage. And fifth bonus is, when you deal damage, you have a 10% chance to create a fissure underneath the enemy after 1 second, dealing 2,000 physical damage to all enemies within 2.5 meters and causing them to bleed for an additional 8,000 physical damage over 10 seconds, which this effect can occur every 10 seconds. And I don't think this is good.
Really?
I don't know.
Because the Twice Fang Snake is of similar thing. Let me see. Twice Fang. Well, see, Twice Fang is different. Because Twice Fang has the weapon damage, max dam, weapon crit, and then the 5-set bonus is when you deal damage, your physical penetration is increased by like 1,000 for 3 seconds and stacks up to 5 times. So that physical penetration is what you're after. Mm-hmm. But those proc sets sound pretty not. It would all depend on how much damage those really do when you factor in resistances. Because that bleed damage might put, it'd be worthy of some testing to see if it's any good over like just the pure physical penetration, as long as you can keep, get hits in every 3 seconds, which really shouldn't be a problem, but you got to keep your stacks up. If you can do that, does those random procs deal more damage than the consistent amount of penetration that it gives you? Maybe it might be worth looking. I might actually try to pick that up to kind of swap in with Twice Fang to see how it plays. I can't really swap out the Bone Tatter because the Bone Tatter is my resource,
This set, however, could be combined with the other medium set from the Brotherhood Forge, which is weapon critical, weapon damage, weapon critical again, and increases the damage you deal with bleed damage over time effects by 20%. So these are like 2 sets that can be used together.
If you did a 5 and 5 of each, that would be kind of neat. I'm thinking that would actually be really cool, but I don't know.
I don't understand. You know me. I don't know much about DPSing, so
20% added to that. I'm trying to think if that amount of actual damage is worth picking up, right? Like it might be. It very well might be. It just depends on how much you do bleeds. Like how many things actually cause bleeding though?
I have no idea.
Maybe Nightblades would really like it, but I'm like on my Templar, I don't think any of my native abilities actually cause bleeding. I can't.
What about your big giant sword? That might cause some bleeding.
I have to look because I don't even think it does that. To be honest, hold on.
I thought the axes were the bleeding.
The axe ones. Does bleeds. Yes, the sword just does the 5. I was just looking to see if there was anything in the traits, but nothing in our traits actually causes bleeding other than axes, which grants the bleeding damage. But like swords, just forceful does a splash effect, but that's about it. It natively the 2-hander does not do bleeds. The bow doesn't do bleeds either. It does a lot of poison, but not bleeds. So yeah, unless you're wielding an axe, maybe that might be something of note.
Dual wield skills, though, I think have like that twin slashes or whatever the name is, the first skill of dual wielding. I think that's a bleed damage.
Yes, you're right. You're right. That does. And SDTLC, thank you for coming in. Just got to do a wave to him, too. New person in chat. I don't think I've ever seen that name before. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. No, I guess you're right. Dual wield might be more akin to that because of the bleeds that you would keep going. Two-hander, I would be the only bleed I'd get would be from fissure. But again, bleeds don't stack or don't grow, do they? I don't think they do.
Again, I had no.
So you would just be increasing the duration. You wouldn't actually be adding more bleeds. You're just increasing the duration of the bleed that you currently have on there. So, now if Blood-Eye comes all the way up to where I'm at, I can do this.
Oh, sorry. I was reading the notes. So.
No, you're fine. You were doing what you were supposed to do. I'm just doing whatever it is I'm doing in game to be entertaining, I guess. All right.
That's actually quite easy. Just remove all your armor and do the slash red guard dance.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're right. That is the only thing I really need to do to be at all entertaining. Clearly, yeah. So yeah, dual wield might be a way. A night, yeah. I'm thinking bleeds just don't stack. They just keep increasing duration or keep refreshing duration. So you're not. It's not like you would get a. You wouldn't get a stack, I guess, from a bleed, and it go, hey, here's a two-handed bleed, right? Or my dual wield bleed, which is different from your axe bleed, which is different from your this bleed. I don't think it stacks in that case.
Still, I mean, it could be like a stat 20% straight increase in bleed damage might be useful. But as you said, I don't know how much bleed we inflict during DPSing. So
yeah, well, I barely do any because of the weapon that I use. And I'm glad you could be here, man. He normally doesn't make it because we record in the middle of the night. So,
Yep.
It just worked out this time, I guess.
To that.
Well, yeah, I make you show up, so that's the difference.
I used to be able to not be here as well. Then I sold my soul.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah. Yeah, yes, you did. Man, whatever this thing is, just like... Oh, I got hit by a thing, and it killed me. So Blood-Eye just needs to stay alive. Ooh. Yeah, I should have dodged. Should have dodged. I didn't dodge. Bad.
How are you going to play a tank? This, like... You get killed by every single boss attack. So
well, that's because I'm on my DPS. I'm not supposed to get hit. Yeah, I'm not supposed to get hit. I'm supposed to kill these
There you go. I killed it for you, Ag.
Good. I'm glad you were here. Ooh, Spriggan. Spriggan set. Is it a good Spriggan set? It is Divines! I'm going to keep that.
How do you always get the correct traits?
I got Divine's pants as well.
Oh, I don't know. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing, not going to lie. All right, so anything else of note from that? I mean,
yes.
I know you had some Blood-Eye, but mostly cosmetic stuff, right?
Yes, a lot of cosmetic stuff. So new crafting motifs, new furniture recipes. Hooray, hooray. Mm-hmm. Apparently, when you are previewing an item at a guild trader, you'll be able to see a picture of it. Yes.
That will be nice, yeah. We will be able to preview the furnishing items.
The furnishing items is definitely cool. I'm sitting there thinking armor might be neat, except for until they finish their transmog thing, it doesn't really matter because you're going to be stuck wearing ugly stuff anyway. But
hopefully you can get a preview. I can get a preview when you're crafting things. That would be good. Thanks, Sauce. Very much appreciated.
Yeah.
A lot of things around if you're adding glyphs to locked items, you don't have to unequip them and unlock them and things like that, which would be useful.
Well, I know the reasoning behind it. It was just due to the fact that, like, it was bad code because of anytime you go to improve, there's the chance of destroying it. So I don't know why you have to unlock in order to improve, which makes sense because, you can willingly destroy your item. But
I mean, that's still the case, but if it's 100% chance, then you can improve the locked item.
Yes.
Vivec's underwear is now the same color as his loincloth. for those of you who previously checked.
I don't think
That is
that's
a
what they
most
were
needed
looking
fix.
for. They weren't looking for that. They were just checking to see, you know, how his parts were aligned, I guess. Because he's a hermaphrodite, right? It's like, yeah, everyone's curious. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things if someone came up to me like, so I'm a hermaphrodite, I'd be like, pull down your pants. I'm just, it's for science. I just got to know what this, you know, what yours looks like, you know? Like, I just got to see this. No, just kidding. No, I'm not.
They're probably
Totally
the
was.
main things for me.
All right, so there are a few other stuff that I want to mention before we continue.
Yeah, go for it.
So champion point increase again for
Yay.
30 points. That means I'll never ever catch the maximum champion points. That's okay.
So what are we up to now? What is that, 660 now?
Yep.
Okay,
660.
because I'm not even at the new. I was capped before the Morrowind when we got an upgrade, and now I'm not capped again.
The only time I was capped was when the veteran ranks was still a thing.
When there were no champion points.
Yeah.
I'm at 708, so I'm good.
Oh yeah, you'll be fine. Yeah, no, I gotta farm it a bit. I know, I'm just being lazy, I guess. Because I'm at 617, so I got a few more to go. But
Oh yeah, you don't have much to go.
No,
I'm at 300 something.
I don't. But again, I guess questing's probably not terrible, but doing dungeons would probably be better. But I don't do them that often. I should, but I don't. So.
You should.
Well, I'm also in the phase now where it's like, listen, I just want to get done and do some questing stuff. So I've been ignoring doing like guild events because when I'm logged on, I'm like, I just want to do some questing so I can like finally catch up and, you know, be on current content, if you will. So that's what I've been doing is just like, hey, I'm just gonna rock this for right now and go from there.
Guild master avoiding the guild event.
Yeah, no, totally.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I've got officers. That's what they're there for. They run stuff. I have awesome officers. That's why they're there. That's why I made them officers so that they will run stuff. And I mean, that's the whole idea here. I don't see the problem. I really don't see the problem here. Nope. Yeah.
Yeah.
Art.
Moving on.
Yep.
A bunch of fixes and improvements that I won't touch, but if you are curious about, you can check them. It's about 3 pages long. And there are some combat and gameplay balance changes. Now, Warden got some buffs, like they are able to cast some spells while being stealth. So that's one thing.
Did Warden really need a buff? That's what I'm curious about.
I think so.
Really?
Because, I mean, at least in PvP, I never had a problem against a Warden in Battlegrounds.
Well, that's because
Like,
no one played anything other than a Sork in Battlegrounds.
No, there were Wardens, but they didn't cause as much problems as Dragon Knights or Sorcerers. You know? I mean,
Right.
Dragon Knights, I know from myself and other Dragon Knights, are hard to kill. You can't really kill them. Sorcerers are annoying, frustrating. If I continue, it won't be family friendly. So I hate Sorks, Max Sorks. But Wardens, they don't do much, you know. I mean, they are not underpowered, but they are definitely not overpowered or in par with sorcerers or anything. So
Okay.
I guess some buffs wouldn't hurt. I see Dragon Knights got some slight debuffs, which I don't care. We are still awesome.
How's the Templar look? Because, you know, that's what
There aren't any changes to Templar.
Oh, really?
You guys are getting ignored. Who cares?
What else is news, Os? Thanks. Actually, I'm not really having any issue with my Templar, but, you know, it's just par for the course with Templars, it seems. Yeah.
Yep.
We are the red-headed stepchild of ESO.
Huge changes to Mundus Stones.
Okay.
I won't
Yes.
read all of these, but they made some huge changes, so the aim is to be more diverse. Like, an example is the lover now grants physical and spell resistance instead of just spell resistance, stuff like that. They changed the values and stuff, so if you want to check them out, go ahead you can read them on the patch notes.
That's actually pretty nice, because pretty much right now, if you're a DPS, you take either Thief or Shadow, and that's it. That's the only thing you touch. I mean, yeah, it was
like the thief's critical strike chance, as an example, reduced to 9% from 11%, but they nerfed it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a shame for me, because I use Thief, but it really was something where there was no other reason to use anything else, right?
I mean, pretty much, I'm looking at this, and pretty much they nerfed Thief and buffed everything else. Well, that's pretty much it.
If they had a graph showing the amount of people who were using it, I would probably say close to like 90% of the ESO population was Thief. I mean, because even as a healer, technically, Thief is useful because it increases your spell crit. So therefore, your heals crit, So, yeah, I mean, there really wasn't too much of a reason to do anything else. So I'm excited to see that. Yeah. And depending on like what you were doing, you might not even matter. Like, with regen, if you don't have regen issues, go with the pure what would make you more effective heals per second. So, yeah. I mean, the only ones who probably used anything different were tanks, because they get no benefit off crit, really. So,
let's see what I've got on here.
Thief.
Yeah, Thief.
What do I have? Thief. Yeah, makes sense. I don't even have to look.
I think even I have Thief on my tank, because I switch back and forth between, DPSing in PvP and tanking in PvE, and I don't bother changing Thief, so I think even I have the Thief.
Yeah, everyone has Thief. Yeah,
we're all thieves.
I'm more of the opinion that I just choose Thief as what's going on, and I'll just be surprised if it's not Thief. That's just the safer bet. Just what Mundus do you have? Thief? Oh no, I'm using Atronach. Really? That kind of thing. Yeah.
So there's a big change that was controversial on the forums as far as I can see. And that is the fact that they removed the visual effects of ally damaging ally area of effect abilities. So basically, when you're in a group, you're in a dungeon, and your sorcerer casts an AoE, you don't see it anymore. Now they say this is the improved visual clarity and performance. You can still see the synergy effects, like blessing shards or enemies' AoEs.
Right.
But you don't know what your allies are doing in terms of damaging AoE attacks, like caltrops, like sorcerer the distraction stuff ultimates.
Is that a problem?
Well,
yes.
I
Go ahead,
thought
Robin.
so, and then on doing the Halls of Fabrication trial yesterday, I thought, actually, no, I'm now looking forward to it, because you've got so many people, and you can't read the area effects of the bosses that you're fighting.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to heal it, and I just couldn't see anything, so I was just blind healing. So I've changed my mind. I think for content like trials, I think it'll be very useful that you can then actually see and react to the boss's effects rather than your team's, because everything was just being masked for me, and it was, so I've changed my mind on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see too much of an issue. I mean,
because you're not a tank.
I guess, yeah.
Here's the thing. As a tank, I have to keep the boss inside the DPS's AoE attacks.
Yeah.
How can I do that if I don't see the AoE attack?
But
like,
is it
you use the distraction stuff ultimate, and I just move the boss away somewhere?
Well, why would you
Because
be moving the boss unless there was a reason to move the boss? And honestly,
because I'm kiting it. You usually kite the boss.
But if you're kiting the boss, then it's on the DPS to to manage their own stuff.
Yeah, but here's the thing: they are using ultimates or other stuff and they have to do their resource management. If I keep moving the boss around because I don't see the AoE attacks, another example is in PvP. Like, why would I drop caltrops if there are already caltrops on the ground? I would save my stamina. But if I don't see the caltrops on the ground, I will drop it, and then probably the other guy will drop it again, and it's just a waste of stamina.
That's where communication
Now, this is a good
helps.
change. This is definitely a good change, but the thing is, it should be toggle ability.
Okay, no,
Yeah,
I agree with the
I agree.
toggleable stuff. I'm like off by default, but you could turn it on if your rig is super powerful. Yeah,
Or turn it on for certain players.
Yeah,
cool.
perhaps. Yeah, that
Say, person X, person Y, turn it on for them and off for everyone else. That would be good.
it'd be interesting, but and apparently what SDTLC is saying is that caltrops now stack.
Yeah, but I don't use caltrops for the damage or anything. I just use them for crowd control. Like when the sword comes and grabs the relic, I just use it to slow it down.
Yeah, but why would you still not do that? Because you're using it for the purpose of crowd control, right? You know, great. But why then would you not still do that? If another DPS drops it, then what are they doing? They're just pulling the threat to them. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, here's the thing. It's a matter of strategy. You could use that. You could not. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that you are taking one part of the game.
Yeah.
Like the ESO is built upon being dynamic in the combat, and that is based on seeing all the enemy attacks and knowing what your allies are doing. Now you are taking one part of that out from the game, and you are not making this toggle as a toggle option. Like maybe I'm not running 1080 Ti, GTX 1080 Ti, but if I did, I wouldn't have any problem with the visual effects at all, and I could just boost everything I have and still enjoy the game. Now, why would and I enjoy that chaos. I enjoy that chaotic visuals. Now, why would you take that away from me while I can afford to
You're right.
look at it, run it?
Yeah, and as a toggleable, you're right, if you had the option. And thank you, Fezworthy. I died again, and he pointed out that I didn't have food on, which explained why I died so quickly. I'm like, why am I dying?
I saved your life again. Second
Well,
turn.
technically you didn't save my life, because I died. You just killed the boss.
Oh, I saved him from killing you again.
Oh, no, I put food on at that point. You're crazy. You're crazy. Okay. No, I agree. That is, it should be toggleable. Like, I don't mind if it was off by default, but you should have the ability to turn them on if it's something you desire, because
Great.
seeing
Apparently,
more
it also affects item sets ability, by the way.
Oh, well. Is that a problem?
I don't know.
Okay.
Thunderbug or
Just
something.
putting it out there.
I'm just like jumping and taking all this stuff from
I know.
Robot Dancer.
My Australian ping. I actually get there on my screen before you, and then you just run up and steal it.
Man, I love having like 20 MS ping, and she's like at 500, and I'm like, yeah, nope, I'm there.
240 is what I'm at.
240? All right. This actually used to be what I played out when I was on DSL. Oh, man, that sucks. So, okay. Anything else before we move on?
There are also a bunch of changes to weapon traits, which
Okay.
I'm not going to read, but since it's the hot topic right now, Sharpened trait reduced
Sharpened.
the spell and physical penetration granted to 2,752 from 5,160.
They halved it. They halved it.
They
Yeah.
halved it, yeah.
They also have the amount of money you were going to get on your staff that dropped.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't think it will sell now. Like they made the change before I could sell my sharpened staff, so yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I guess sharpened kind of was something that was really powerful. Like from what I've been seeing and what some people have been excuse me, I have to take a drink here. What I've been seeing from people in the PTS is now precise. I think it's infused and sharpened are about 1,000 DPS away from each other now. They're like really close, where before it was a pretty big difference. So they're narrowing the gap, I guess, a little bit.
They nerfed defending as well. I'm just realizing it.
Yeah,
They halved the defending as well.
Yes,
That's not nice.
definitely not nice for you. But yeah, SDTLC says Precise is now on top again. I know it's close. Like, I knew it was on top, but it's not far. If you're really min-maxing, maybe go for it. But if you already have a sharpened, it might not be worth, like if I already have a golden sharpened weapon, it might not necessarily be worth picking up a precise now. Maybe not. Not if I don't really want to spend the money or I don't have to go insane over it. But if I get it, great. If not, who cares, right? That's kind of how I look at it.
My beautiful new sharpened Moon Dancer lightning staff
Is garbage.
I've already golded it. I'm keeping it. I love it.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. That's kind of how I feel about the whole thing. It is what it is. So,
as for the last thing I want to mention, they made also a bunch of different like improvements or whatever to item sets as well. One thing I want to mention from here, from this one-page long list, is that they universally increased the maximum health, magic, and stamina from the ones that sets gave by 13.3%. So the reason I wanted to mention this is that they thought that there were infinite resources builds, and they wanted to get rid of that and make the resource management harder, and now they are giving us more resources. So what is going on?
Well, that 13%, what? A golded out item was, 933 for like a stamina or magicka, so now what is it, like 1,000? Like...
I think it was 1,000 something.
Was it 1,000? I don't think it's that
know.
much. Actually, hold on, I can look right now. I'll tell you exactly how much it is. 967 max stamina. So 967 is what it was for me.
Oh, okay.
So
maybe it's the health one that is over 1,000, because I'm sure
the health one's different. The health one's like higher. So yeah, you are right about that. But the other ones would probably only be a little over 1,000 now. They wouldn't even be, they wouldn't actually be at that level. But I guess a little bit more resources aren't terrible. But I mean, if you're weaving a little bit more, you're not going to have any of these issues. I mean, I don't really have too many now. And even if I have to weave for just a few seconds, it's enough to really kind of put me back on top. That I don't really have any issues going forward. So
yeah. I mean, I just want to mention that. So
no,
that's about it.
Fascinating.
There are a bunch of new books and stuff that you can find and add to your library, obviously.
Awesome. I love new books.
Yeah, notes, books, Lord Vivec's questions that I'm seeing just right now.
Lord Vivec.
So yeah, that's about it for the patch notes.
Okay. Well, then that kind of ends our news for this week. I guess next week we're going to talk about if any other news pops up, but also I think we talked about doing some data mining stuff in the future.
Yay!
So that'll be fun. For next week's episode. But before we really go any further, we are going to go ahead and do... What are we doing next? Oh, I guess it's a lore reading time, isn't it? I think it is.
It is.
All right. So that pretty much means it's time for 36 Lessons of Vivec. So it's actually really funny. Someone sent me a message going, I love tales. I can't wait to share with my kids because, it's family friendly, which is true. I'm like, well, you may want to steer clear of any 36 lessons just because of what they are. So, obviously, for those who've not listened before or just listening now, we have been studying the 36 Lessons of Vivec, and we are up to Sermon 5. So I'll go ahead and read the sermon, and then we'll talk about it. Now, this one actually, is probably one of the most straightforward ones I've ever done, but it's kind of interesting because you get to meet a hero for the first time that's only been alluded to. So, 36 Lessons of Vivec, Sermon 5.
Oh, I can't see it in the patch notes.
No, I don't put them in there because last time...
I'll get to you right away.
Thank you. P-Rock.
All right.
Sent from Discord.
Thank you.
Finally, the simulacrum of the Netchman's wife became unstable. The Dwemer, in their haste, had built it too shoddily, and the ashes of Red Mountain slowed its golden tendons. Before long, it fell to its knees beside the road of the lands of the Indarel and pitched over, to be discovered 80 days later by merchant caravan on its way to the capital of Veloth, Anon Amalexia. Vivec had not been among his people all the days of his pre-life, so he stayed silent and let the Chimer and their caravan think that the simulacrum was broken and empty. A Chimeri warrior who was protecting the caravan said, "Look here how the Dwemer try to fool us as ever, crafting our likenesses out of their flesh metals. We should take this to the capital and show our mother I am. She will want to see this new strategy of our enemies." But the merchant captain said, "I doubt we will be paid well for that effort. We can make more money if we stop at Normock and sell it to the red wives of Dagon, who pay well for the wonders made by the deep folk." But another Chimer, who was wise in the ways of prophecy, looked upon the simulacrum with disquietude. "Was I not hired to help you seek the best of fortunes? I say you should listen. Listen to your warrior then, and take this thing to I am. For they are manufactured by our enemies. There is something in it that will become sacred, or has been already." The merchant captain took pause then, and looked on the simulacrum of the Netherman's wife, and thought, and though he heeded always the advice of his seers, could do no more than think of the profits to be made at Normock. He thought mainly of the red wives' form of recompense, which was four-cornered and good-wounded, a belly magic known nowhere else under the moons. His lust made him deny I am his mother. He gave order to change course for Normock. But before the cavern could get underway again, the Chimeri warrior who was counseled a passage to the capital threw his money at the merchant captain and said, "I will pay you thus for the simulacrum and warn you, war is coming with the shaggy men of the north. And I will not have my mother I am at uneven odds with one enemy while tending to another." "Nerevar," the merchant captain said, "this is not enough. I am a triune of my own way, but I follow the road of my body and demand more." Then Vivec could not remain silent any more, and said into Nerevar's head these words, "You can hear the words, so run away. Come, Hortator, unfold into the clear unknown. Stay quiet until you've slept in the yesterday, and say no elegies for melting stone." So Nerevar slew the merchant captain and took the caravan for his own. The ending of the words, Salvi. So that one was easier to understand. I mean, honestly, that's us finally seeing one of the compatriots of the tribunal in action. That's Nerevar Indorel. He is, well, I mean, if you played Morrowind, he is, well, I guess your character is the reincarnation of him as the Nerevarine. He was the companion of Sothasil and Vivec, and the lover, or some say husband, I believe he was a husband of Amalexia. So you finally meet him. The Dwemer's construct of the Netchman's wife has fallen apart, and Vivec, being fearful, having not been around the Chimeri before, stayed silent until he heard what they were going to do with him. They were going to sell him to the Red Wives of Dagon, but the merchant warrior, Nerevar, spoke up saying, "Listen, we need to take this to Amalexia," that's I am, "and we need to go and, let her know what the Dwemer are doing, because we're at war with them. There's constant strife between these two people, because we've mentioned this before, that the Dwemer, they're agnostic. Or, yeah, I guess agnostic is the word. I almost want to say atheist, but they kind of believe in divine, but not really. So, and the Chimeri are devout, very devout religious folk. So they are, at war with one another. And seeing that the Dwemer are now, essentially creating spies is what they're assuming. They're able to so craft these automatons that they look so close to what the real ones are, that they grew fearful and went, "No, we have to go tell I am that, hey, the Dwemer are up to no good again." But the merchant captain in his lust went, "I can make more money going to the Red Wives of Dagon." They also perform certain acts that we'll say, that are very pleasurable, and I want to go deal with them instead of taking this to Mother Morrowind. And Vivec, now knowing him to be the Hort Tutor, who was from prophecy, told him that he needed to more or less take charge and take over and do what he needed to do. So there we are. We're seeing Nerevar now finally on the scene. We finally know who the Hort Tutor was. So if you didn't know this already, I know a lot of us already do, but the Hort Tutor that was discussed in, I think, Sermon 1 is now revealed, and he is now being carried by the Hort Tutor to Almalexia. All right. That was Sermon 5. No comments? No? Maybe? Yeah.
Oh, you got...
Yeah, no, we're good.
I wonder why that...
I don't know. I don't know why it does it. It's weird. It's really weird, but it's okay, because we're here again. So, that one was easier. Okay, go ahead. So,
Vivec and the Tribunal got their powers from Heart of Lorkhan after fighting Dwemer and stuff like that, right?
Okay.
So at the beginning, like when Vivec was a kid or child or whatever,
pre-birth,
he didn't have these powers or anything. And these sermons are what Vivec writes.
Yes.
So he's basically kind of trying to justify his divinity. That
yes.
He didn't just got it from the Heart of Lorkhan, but he always had the divinity thing going on from his birth or before his birth.
Yes.
Kind of deal.
Yes.
Okay.
And that is one of the things that they wanted this to be known. Like, and this is why he's writing. A lot of times people are like, Vivec is a poet, but he's also a liar. And a lot of the stuff that we knew about the Horde of Lorkhan, the Heart of Lorkhan is not mentioned in the Tribunal Temple, because to them it doesn't exist. The story of the Heart of Lorkhan comes from the dissident priest, the priests that were in the Ashlands, the Ashlanders, who do not follow the Tribunal and believe they are usurpers of the Daedric lords who they should be worshiping. So that's where we're seeing the story. So we know the Heart of Lorkhan, but according to Vivec, he's always been divine. And that's what these sermons are trying to portray, is the idea that he is divine, and he was divine from essentially when he was a fetus. Like he was born this way. He was not made this way.
I see.
Yeah.
So another question, not really related to Vivec and sermons or Tribunal. Now, these three, the Tribunal got their powers, their divinity, through Heart of Lorkhan.
Yep.
At some point.
Yep.
Then there's Tiber Septim, who achieved divinity, which I don't remember how he got it.
Tiber Septim.
Are there any other mortals that achieved divinity later on that we know of?
Technically, there's a couple. We have Tiber Septim and his apotheosis to Talos, which is actually... Here's the best way I've seen it described, and it's actually, they're all linked. It's all linked to Lorkhan, because the apotheosis of Tiber Septim was Halti Earlybeard and the Ash King combining into one soul. The Ash King is someone known as, you may have heard this term a few times, maybe not, the term Shezarene, okay? Which are essentially... I don't want to say reincarnations, but you almost want to think of them as reincarnations of Lorkhan. There's a few of them throughout history. One of the most famous is Pelennor Whitestrike, the one who helped Alesh, or as we know her, Alessia, and the slave rebellion. He was what a lot of people call a Shezarene, which many believe to be a representation of Lorkhan in the world. So let's look at that again. So we have the Shezarenes, who appear throughout history several times. It actually is even thought that the Nerevarine was a Shezarene, but that's kind of debated one way or the other. But the idea is everything is tied back to Lorkhan. Talos is a combination of Halti Earlybeard and some form of like Wolfhearth, which was a Shezareen, the Ash King, which is a Shezareen. Pelinal Whitestrike was a Shezareen. And the Tribunal achieved divinity through Lorkhan's heart, which was part of Lorkhan. So everything comes back to the missing god in the end.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, so...
But, again, we know that Tribunal got the powers from Heart of Lorkhan.
Yeah.
How did... Like, there were other... What was the word?
Shezareens, yes.
Shezareen. So there were other Shezareens. How did Tiber got to be the Talos and entered the divine, like one of the divines, became one of the divines? What was the difference that he had?
What was the difference that he had versus
over the other Shezareens? That why Tiber became a divine while other Shezareens did not?
This is something that's there's I'm trying to think of
I made a jealous stutter.
No, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. It all revolves around the Numidium and the Underking. Because they were trying to use the heart of Lorkhan, but I guess at this point with him combining in this oversoul, the whole idea is, when you ask about Lorkhan as avatars, this was brought up by Michael Kirkbride. He presented a list of names and surnames and pseudonyms and titles of people, like Tiber Septim, for instance, that were suspected to be part of this, I don't know, antiomorphic oversoul kind of thing. That is believed to constitute the following deity known as Talos. There's multiple souls that were kind of pushed together. So when they died, their souls combined to form what we know as Talos. And that was like Wolfhearth, Halti Earlybeard, one of the other ones, Ysmir,
I think Wolfhearth is Ysmir. Or
no, there's multiple.
Wolfhearth Ysmir?
There's multiple. There's multiple Wolfhearths. Wolfhearth, the Underking. So the idea is when Halti Earlybeard died, Tiber Septim died, his soul was combined with these other oversouls into the apotheosis that is Talos. So it's not just one soul that is in this concept. Why he did that, and some people said it's because of Chim, Chim, that idea of achieving Chim. That allowed him to achieve this apotheosis, which set him apart from the others. Because the others were essentially reincarnations of Lorkhan, or some sort of oversoul of Lorkhan. So when he died, he didn't really die, just the entirety of Lorkhan died. Parts and fragments of him still exist within the Shezareens. And so when he achieved Chim, or Kime, or whatever you want to call it, their souls combined to become Talos. It's an interesting concept, but the whole thing revolves around this idea of Chim, which isn't really even mentioned in the games except for like one time. It's kind of like a meta topic, which people have thought that Chim was kind of an inside joke about using the mod tools to change the game to be whatever you want so that the player essentially becomes God. But, some people don't like accepting that as a reason because it's kind of like, oh, that takes away from the lore of the world. And, it's not just some inside joke. All right. We got a few more emails to go through. Hopefully I didn't bore too many people with the lore. There is a Code Sniper says there's a theory that the protagonist in Skyrim is a Shezareen as well. Yeah, the Shezareens, a lot of times the heroes in Skyrim are not, in the Elder Scrolls series, are often thought of as Shezareens as well. But, all right, so we actually got a few emails, which is more lore, so we're going to have to go through those. So, Praxis in Guild, he sent us a message going, more lore ag. Okay. I want to say thanks to you, Aggelos and Ark and Bloody-Eye for the lore talk about Meridia. I feel like I've learned so much about that, and this podcast gets me through the servers being down after a long 12-hour shift. You guys / girls are great. Glad to be part of what you're doing. If you have time, could you possibly talk about the Dark Brotherhood? I'm currently playing in Nightblade, and I just joined them. From what I could see, that there are all dark and a clan of assassins going way back, probably in other games. Thanks in advance. Looking forward to the next show. Hopefully, I can catch you in games eventually. So, the Dark Brotherhood.
Alexis and I did some stuff yesterday in game, actually.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
Sorry, just to interject.
Hail Sithis.
Hail Sithis. So, Dark Brotherhood is a group of assassins. You are right. And they've been pretty much in every single game, if I remember correctly. But the Dark Brotherhood, and it's actually awesome that you ask about this, because Morrowind brought into concept something that many people don't know, is that the Dark Brotherhood only came into existence, I think, in the Second Era, somewhere around there. Yep. I can't remember the exact year. They are actually a splinter group of the Morag Tong. The Morag Tong worship Minfala and the web spinner, and they are a group of assassins that operate mainly in Morrowind. After the assassination of Raymond II by the Morag Tong, they were outlawed in the entire empire, and they were pretty much forced back only to work within Morrowind. So there seemed to be some ideological differences somewhere along the line, and the group of Morag Tong broke off from them and started worshiping someone known as, well, Sithis. He is the Void. If you go back to the beginning of Nirn, the idea of Anu and Padme, the light and the dark, so to speak, they wrestling over this idea of Nirn and the existence of a plane that was created. And they ripped themselves out of time. But they started breaking away from Minfala and started worshiping Sithis as the name that has been so commonly attributed to him, mostly from the Hist, who don't actually acknowledge any of the other gods. They just acknowledge the Void, which is Sithis. So the Argonians, it's a big part of their culture. In fact, any Argonian born under the sign of the Shadow is immediately given over to the service of Sithis, regardless of what they wanted to do in life. They have no choice. As soon as you are born under the sign of the Shadow, you are sent off to work with the Dark Brotherhood. So the Dark Brotherhood they worship Sithis, and there is a group, or I guess the Night Mother came into existence. Now there's some controversy about the Night Mother, who is their direct contact. They're said to be the wife of Sithis. She is a corpse that is that can speak. Now, I've heard a whole bunch of weird things about this, that it is in fact still Minfala talking through a corpse. Some say it's Sithis, but it's kind of, no one really knows at this point. There's a lot of theories about it. Arkhaniir, maybe you're a big Dark Brotherhood fan. I'm not so much. Do you know anything about the Night Mother?
Well, there are, as you said, several theories. Like, some of them is that Night Mother is Minfala, and just took the form of a mortal Dunmer, and thus became the Night Mother. Some says that Night Mother is just a leader of at first when the Dark Brotherhood formed away from the Morag Tong, they are still worshipping Minfala at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So then this Dunmer, the Night Mother, comes out, and she's, I don't know if I remember correctly, leader of the current Dark Order or whatever. She somehow becomes the wife of the Sithis, and she bores 5 children. Then she kills them so they can be together with their dread father, Sithis, in the Void. Their souls go to Sithis. And people find it very cruel and stuff like that, and Night Mother is killed. Now, I might be wrong because I've read these.
No, you're right. You sparked a memory here. Yes, you did bring that up.
Then people find that was too cruel, like murdering your own child so they can be with their father in the void, and the Night Mother is killed. So eventually, what happens is that Dark Brotherhood do believe or do serve cities, but Night Mother is the voice. Like, they serve cities through Night Mother, that kind of thing. If your memory is sparked, just take it from here.
Yep. No, I'm good at this point. There is a keeper of the Night Mother. She is. They're the ones who tend to the corpse of the Night Mother, which is hanging out, which is kind of gross. But they tend to her. Yeah, she's around. And there's also another one called the Speaker. The Speaker is the one who can hear the voice of the Night Mother.
The listener.
The listener, sorry. And the Speaker is the one who reveals the tale.
One listener for speaker.
Yeah.
Black Hand.
The Black Hand. So the listener hears the Speaker's tell. And so that's pretty much what the Dark Brotherhood was, or where they evolved into. So it eventually, like you said, over time, the divide between the worship of Minfala and then the idea that Minfala is almost playing a trick on them is brought up, by playing the Night Mother. We don't actually know on that one because, again, it's multiple theories, whether it was a person, whether it's Minfala inhabiting a corpse of somebody. They now worship the void, and death is, their main goal. And by doing what is known as the Black Sacrament, you can summon a Dark Brotherhood member, because a listener will hear this through the Night Mother and relay this to a speaker, and the speakers give out the task of,
Where's this
performing
dead body?
that. What dead body?
Night Mother.
Well, she was originally in the sarcophagus in where is it? It's in Cyrodiil.
Either Cheydinhall or Bravel.
I think it's Bravel. I think it's Bravel.
The statue of the Lucky Lady. It's the entrance of the Night Mother's crypt.
Yep.
That later gets raided by the I can't remember, authorities. I guess some people. It gets raided, and the coffin of the Night Mother, like the crypt is emptied, gets raided, and the coffin of the Night Mother is rescued by one of the orcs, I believe, orc assassins, and then it ends up in, like, we see. Well, I'm trying to think whether if it would be a spoiler or not. So, but yeah, the coffin is rescued from the crypt, and ever since just travels around the sanctuaries and stuff like that.
Right. And in the time of Skyrim, if you played Skyrim, its last known resting place is actually in the sanctuary in is it Falkreath or Dawnstar? Dawnstar, that's right, because the Falkreath one was taken over. So it's currently in the far north if you jumped ahead 1,000 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So hopefully you found that interesting. We do have another email here, which I got to pull up. This is from Meowsbark, one of our Twitch subs. Thank you so much, Meowsbark. I hope this reaches you before the next Tales of Tamriel podcast, which it did. The god of swipe does not favor me in recent days, so my attempts at texting this message resulted in a long string of curses that the god of swipe, aka Sheogorath, transformed into ducking ducks. So yet again, I fall victim to slaughterfish while hunting for the elusive paintings locked within treasure chests buried on Nirn. And although I stubbornly believe that such paintings exist, bug loot table, ? I am now curious as to what exists beyond the realm of the slaughterfish. Without knowing the recipe for a raft, I cannot possibly satisfy my curiosity within the realm of ESO. Does the water dissipate into nothingness? Or do the seas stretch all the way back around to the other shore of Tamriel? I am attempted to solve this mystery on my own, but apparently there is some debate on the topic whether Nirn is flat or not. What do you believe, O wise scholars of the Elder Scrolls lore? It's actually funny that that you brought this up. Because as you brought it up, it actually got me thinking, and I started looking into the lore of this as well. Because there does seem to be some, I don't want to say issues, but there's some thoughts on this, because we all know that the planes of existence, right? We have Nirn, the planet, but then we also see the planets in the sky, but the planets aren't really planets. Those are the spheres of the realms of the Aedra, okay, which are infinite planes, but the mortal mind cannot comprehend it, so we view it as spherical. Even the moons, Master and Secunda, being the discarded remains of Lorcan's body, are floating up, and they're spherical but broken, and yet he also is, of this Aedric descent. So again, this infinite plane that's somewhat broken and spherical. But given that the realm of Nirn was made from like the El Nefeh, the wandering the Earth Bones, the El Nefeh, that became part of this. The spirits came down and became part of Nirn. There's no proof one way or the other that Nirn is round. It very well could be flat, because what we see on the map, which I'm going to pull up here on the screen, is just the continent of Tamriel. That is just the continent. We know for a fact that there are a few other continents in the world. To the far north is the continent of Atmora, which is, at the time of Skyrim, a frozen wasteland. That's why the Nords migrated into Tamriel. To the west was the sunken islands of Yukuda, and to the east is the Akavir, which is another huge continent. To the south are the island chains of Pandonima, Pandonina, I think it's pronounced. Anyway, it's where the sea elves are. And let me see if I can maybe I can pull it up. I'm going to try. Map of Nirn. There we go. Let me see if I can. Awesome. That is what I wanted. Planet Nirn. That is a very small picture. I need a bigger one. That's better. That's definitely better. I'm going to go ahead and save this image, and then I'm going to go ahead and bring it up on the stream. So just give me 1 second for those who have not seen this. I know it doesn't make for good radio, but that's okay. All right, so I have it up here on the screen now, which you'll probably be able to see. I'm going to go ahead and expand this out so people can see it. So if you look at Nirn, we have Tamriel, which is pretty much that one section right over that we see. We also see the island of Atmora, which where the elves came as originally down to the far south. The islands of the Yukudan chain, Atmora to the north, which we then see as well. I'm sorry, not Aldmora. Atmora, and then Aldmeris is what I'm talking about. And then we have the continent of Akavir to the far east, as well as a few other little islands in the Padometic Ocean, which are where the Slode come from. So we see this, but we actually don't know anything else beyond this because it's shown as flat. But it not being a planet and not actually, it's floating in this void, we don't actually know if it's flat or not because we've not seen anything around. The only known sailors will sail to Akavir, and the sea elves don't really say. They kind of float up and raid the shores of Nirn or of Tamriel, but we actually don't. We don't actually know. I tend to think that it's flat. And I really do. I tend to think it's flat.
It could be actually flat because when you think about it, we perceive like the Aedric and Daedric worlds as planets and stuff like that, but they are actual realms, right? Like
yes,
different different dimensions.
Yes,
different realms. So it might as well be a straight, as you said, a flat plane that just expands and expands and expands.
To a certain point, there's probably something that'll push back. But you also got to think that the idea of the realm of the Mundus, the plane of existence where Nirn is essentially just this open space in the void. So Nirn itself, what we know as Nirn the planet, could be floating in this void of space that is separate from Aetherius and the outer void. Because I've not ever read anything about anyone being able to sail from like High Rock or Yakutans exploring and hitting the other side of Akavir. Everything I've read tends to lead towards everyone sailing towards the very center, which is Tamriel.
Like, I would imagine if someone tried to sail the other way, they would just keep on sailing and nothing would ever happen. Like, infinity of sea just...
I wouldn't even know if there's affinity, but maybe there's a point where, you know, when it ends, there's so much turbulent sea that nothing could ever sail past it, you know?
That could be it too.
Yeah, it could just like...
Or you just pop out from, like, Akatosh's living room.
Possibly. It's possible. It's definitely possible. So that was Nirn. I went ahead and pulled that up. But yeah, I tend to think it's flat, to be honest, because I've not read anything anywhere that says that the world itself is that anyone has sailed from the one coast all the way around. So yeah, I tend to think it's flat because technically there are no spherical planets. Everything's floating in the void, in these realms of the void. The Mundus is literally just that. It's what you would consider a realm of oblivion in void, and then the Adric realms are contained within this realm, and they're infinite spheres, but they're contained within a finite space, so we see them as round. So, yeah.
So I'm looking at a post that I found in imperiallibrary.info, and someone actually made a lot of things with the longitudes and stuff like that, geographical stuff, and turned it into a globe. And the beginning of like the first paragraph, he mentions, where is it? However, given the longitude and latitude lines on Redguard's West Tamriel map and Daggerfall's Mages Guild globe. So, was there a globe of sorts in one of the Mages Guild that you remember in some of the games? I can't tell, but there may have been a globe object that, like the world globe in the game, that may actually debunk our theory of it being flat.
There are a couple spherical things within the Dwemer observatories, but even they, I don't think, represent Nirn as a whole. So, yeah, something to think about. I'm actually probably going to do a little bit more research on this one because I'd love to come back to this question. But I've not seen anything that says it is round in any way. There is a map on the Imperial Library that shows it as as a sphere, but I when I look at it, it's not from any official source that I've ever seen, and I feel like there's a whole continent that they added that I've never heard of before. So Akavir we've heard of, but I've not heard of LYG. So I don't know if that's something different. Maybe it's there. Maybe I have heard of it. I'm trying to think. But again, I'm going to do some more research on this one because I think it's really fascinating, and I want to see what more people say. And I'm probably going to come back to it at a later time, putting this on my list of things that I want to talk about in the future. Well, guys, that's the end of our Tales show. I'm telling you, it's crazy, right? All right, so before we get going, Arkhaniir, where can people find you?
You can find me on anywhere that you can find the name Arkhaniir. Like, if you type it into Google, it will bring up my Twitter, it will bring up my website, it will bring up my YouTube, Twitch, whatever, because I made the name up. So, the only Arkhaniir should be me. That's in existence.
Right.
So yeah, that is actually I'll pronounce. I'll spell it this time. That is Arkhaniir.
Cool.
That is Arkhaniir, and you can find everything there.
Excellent. Blood-Eye, where can people find you in-game?
In-game and in Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, just look for Blood-Eye. She's in our guild, so if you're interested in joining our guild, you can always just send either myself or her a message. You can find me on Twitter at Aggelos, AGGELOS_WOF. In-game is at Aggelos, which is pretty easy. You can find everything we do, DungeonCrawlerNetwork.com, as well as YouTube.com/DungeonCrawlerNetwork. Here on Twitch, Twitch.tv/DungeonCrawlerNetwork. Really, it's just Dungeon Crawler Network, Facebook, all those places. So just check that out. I want to thank everyone for showing up today. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will be back next week with another episode of Tales of Tamriel. We will see you later, everybody. Hail Sithis.
When Akatosh slew Lorcan, he ripped his heart right out. He hurled it across Tamriel, and the heart was heard to shout, red diamond, the heart and soul of men. Red diamond, protect us till the end. The laughing heart sprayed blood afar, a gout on Seer it fell, and like a dart shot to its mark down in an alien well. Magica fused the Lorcan blood to crystal red and strong. Then wild elves cut and polished it down to Chimel at a ball. Red diamond, the heart and soul of men. Red diamond, protect us till the end. When elves lost Nirn to men, Akatosh gave the stone to Saint Alesh in token of her right to sit the throne. Red diamond, the heart and soul of men. Red diamond, protect us till the end. Red diamond, protect us till the end.